Hi Addy.
Hi Isabel.
Hi. We're looking at Unit 3 today, the Human and Resource Management Sample Assessment Material. This is from the Higher National Qualification in Business. It's
Right.
level 4 and it's a research-based assignment that focuses on a case study organisation. So I thought we'd go through each section of the SAM to see how we can customise and adapt it.
Makes sense to me.
So let's have a look at the submission format first of all, which is the evidence a student has to produce and submit to the tutor.
So what is the format for this one?
Well, they're recommending an individual written report.
Okay.
They're specifying it should be formal business style.
Yeah.
Single spacing, size font 12 being used, some guidance there on the presentation format.
Yeah.
Also to include Harvard referencing and a bibliography as you would expect.
Yes.
And a recommended word limit of 2,000 to 2,500 words.
Yeah, that works for me. I would think about where our students are in the programme because they're currently in the second semester, so maybe we should think about trying to stretch them a bit further in this. We could extend it, get them to add appendices, perhaps think about an executive summary, that sort of thing, to just make it a bit weightier. I would then think perhaps extending the word limit to 3,000. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good point that you made. If the students have, are in the second semester and they're developing their research skills, this would stretch and challenge them, certainly. But also, if you turn over the page and we look at how many learning outcomes are being covered here, we've got 3 learning outcomes, and actually the first one is explain, and the second is evaluate, the third is analyse. So actually they have a lot of detail and research to do for this particular assessment. So I think, increasing the word count would enable them to achieve that more effectively, and also I think specifying, as you said, actually the type of business report
that we want.
Because there's different types of report formats, so specifying, title page, contents page, executive summary, introduction, main body, conclusions, bibliography, appendices, and bullet point that in.
Yes,
so they've
that's
got
good. They've got that clear
instructions
guidance
on the submission format.
Yeah.
Shall we look at now the assignment briefing guidance, which is on the next page?
Okay.
Just looking at the first paragraph, this is setting the vocational context and the scenario, and it's based on being a newly appointed human resource manager, as you can see, for a particular organisation.
That's what I was thinking about, actually. Looking at this, it says here, a named organisation. So I think a lot of our students are in employment or on placement. Could they use their own organisation for this instead of us naming an organisation?
Yeah, you've really got to encourage students, if they're out in the workplace, to use their own organisation. But as we know, there will still be some students that won't be in employment. So I think, to mend this, you'd put in a named organisation as well as allowing the students to use their workplace, and just word that appropriately.
Okay.
And also, I think, thinking about the type of organisation you choose, they've got to have sufficient resources to fulfil the research requirements from the particular SAM. So you do have to give a bit of thought to the type of organisation you're going to select.
I'm totally with you on that. So really, if we're thinking about the case study organisation that we're giving them, we need to think about a large local organisation, or perhaps a national or multinational, something that gives them that scope.
Exactly, one that would have sufficient resources for them to research, but also one that the students are familiar with. They do like to be able to relate to their organisations and motivate them more to carry out the research.
That makes perfect sense to me.
So in the second paragraph, just below, they're just setting what the human resource management manager has to do, and as you can see, it's about reviewing the effectiveness of the HR function within the organisation, researching the role and scope of HR, and assessing HR functions. What do you think that's sufficient to meet this?
I think it's clear, and it is a useful scenario, so to speak. But I am not sure. Let me just have a quick look at the criteria against it. I don't think that particular paragraph enables the learner to achieve those criteria, especially the merits and the distinction.
We've got three merits and 2 distinction, haven't we? But actually, just looking further down, there are key points given and key elements that should be included in the report. So there's a bit more detail given below of what should be covered. What do you think to those?
I like those, and I think it's really clear, well structured again. But I would still argue that I'm not sure that enables the learner to achieve the distinction in the merit criteria. I mean, if we just take an example of M1, where it talks about assess how the functions of HR, etc., and then we compare that to point 2, which it seems to relate to, it asks for an explanation on the purpose of HR. And I really am not sure that an explanation and an assessment is sufficient. I think perhaps we need to think about extending it.
I agree. I mean, these points are quite general. They're sufficient to meet the pass criteria.
Yes.
But they're not quite fulfilling what the requirements are for the merit and distinction criteria. So they do need to be amended. They do need to be given more detail. They do need to be made a bit more subject specific. So you would change, for example, point 2 from an explanation of the role of the purpose of the HR function to possibly an evaluation of the HR function. You could extend point 3 to look at the approach to workforce planning, recruitment and selection, to identify strengths and weaknesses in the other merit criteria. So it's building in the merit and distinction criteria throughout those key points. So they do need to be given much more detail to make the merit and distinction criteria much more explicit within the guidance brief.
And that contextualization for that particular subject really does make sense, doesn't it? So no, that really does work for me. So just making sure that whatever we do with this, we ensure that scope is built into the assignment to allow the learner to achieve that.
Make sure that assignment brief and guidance covers not just the pass criteria but the merit and distinction, and enables the students to maximise their grading opportunities.
Excellent. Thank you, Isabel.
Thanks.